Welcome to Legally Speaking, a Wisconsinite monthly series on legal issues, cases, precedents, and personalities. Today's issue: if you're charged with a crime in Wisconsin, what income and assets can you have and receive legal representation through the Office of the State Public Defender? Without going any further in my topic, I want to introduce a very talented, very experienced panel. To my immediate right, John Chisholm, Milwaukee County District Attorney. John, thank you.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
To his left, the Reverend Richard L. Jones, pastor, Mount Zion Baptist Church in Madison, and a public defender for 13 years before you were called to the ministry.
14 years.
Mr. Jones, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
To my left, private defense attorney Erik Guenther, and you're with the Madison firm. Which one?
Hurley, Barish, and Stanton.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, the State Public Defender, Nick Charkis, 21 years.
21 years.
21 years, thank you. Gentlemen, it's a fascinating subject. And the 1987 dollar is now worth 53 cents, according to the Bureau of Labor Standards. Yet, am I right, Nick, I'm going to first question to you, am I right that the last time the income rules and criteria for who can be represented by your office was set in 1987?
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, now, Nick, here's what you told a legislative committee last October, arguing for a bill that's pending in the Capitol to rewrite that income criteria. Just two quotes. All of our citizens should have access to justice no matter what color their skin, how poor they are, or what zip code they live in. It is about Wisconsin's poorest and most disenfranchised citizens reaching for justice. Now, Nick, the motto of your agency, I looked it up, protecting justice for all. Is that a misnomer? What's broken?
What's broken is justice for all. I mean, every day across Wisconsin, children stand up and pledge allegiance, and at the end of it, they say those three words, justice for all. And the fact of the matter is, if you are a single person living in Wisconsin with a job and you make more than $62 a week, you're too rich for the public defender's office. If you have two children and you make over $290 a week, you're making too much money for the public defender's office. It simply did not keep up. So many of our poorest citizens are not receiving counsel by the state public defender's office. And that means that the county has to pay for counsel or they go without counsel. And to go without counsel means there's not justice for all. The fact that simply by your poverty, you're more likely to receive a prison term in Wisconsin is very disturbing. And let me just say one more thing and then I'll stop for a moment. To be poor in America is greater than just not having resources. To be poor in America means that your very dignity is at question. There's many folks in this country now that don't want to see poor people with good schools or good food or good clothing or good shelter or good health care or now good justice that everybody else receives. So this is not about lawyers, it's not about public defenders, it's not about prosecutors, it's not even about the system. It's about poor people in Wisconsin receiving what Gideon promised every person they would receive.
Those income examples that you cited are pretty startling, yet your agency still had 142,800 clients last year.
That's correct.
So who are those clients, and why do they fit under these income rules that haven't been changed since '87?
Basically, these are the poorest of the poor. They don't have jobs. And there is a problem with this because if you have a client, one of the first things an assistant public defender, as Ricky will tell you, wants to do is say, you know, it'd be a good idea to find a job. If you find a job, you no longer qualify. So we have the poorest of the poor. And then above that, there are the people that are still poor, can't afford counsel, and must be appointed counsel at county expense.
John, when I offered you a chance to appear on the panel, you got in your car and come up here, and I appreciate that and thank you. But why did you do that? What's the issue for the county of Milwaukee, our largest county?
Steve, there currently is an over-reliance on public safety services that are just under-resourced. And when I say public safety resources, I include public defenders, I include the defense bar in that equation. And when I talk about that, we clearly have significant problems, significant social problems that end up on the doorstep of law enforcement and the courts. And one thing we know for certain, that despite all the other challenges we face, we cannot continue to do things the way we've done in the past, we're going to spend $2 billion on our correctional system this year. That's in the context of facing up to $2 billion in a state deficit. What we've learned is by working effectively with law enforcement and with the defense bar, that the sooner we address the problems, the sooner that we start dealing with issues like drug addiction, mental illness, the effects of poverty that lead to over-representation in the criminal justice system, the sooner we can start solving some of those problems. And the only way I can do that effectively is if I'm working with a skilled attorney early on in that process. Traditionally, we've waited until the back end of the system. We don't start talking to each other until 5 minutes before the jury's walking in the door. Now, under different models and different approaches, we still have that role to play where we're zealous advocates for our respective roles. But what we've learned now is that we can be more effective by using our skills earlier in the process and informing other parts of the system as well. And you can't do that if it's under-resourced, because in the end, the problems are going to continue coming at the same rate, and the appellate scrutiny is going to remain. And so if we don't do it right the first time, you're going to have to do it all over again, or you're not going to do it at all, and then the public is not served. In the end, it comes down to this, and that is we want to be wise stewards of the public's money and at the same time increase public safety. And we can all do that effectively by having adequate resources. And the area that needs it the most, in my opinion right now, certainly prosecutors are advocating for more positions, but I equally strongly advocate for the indigent resources so that we can solve these problems and not just keep passing them on into the correctional system.
Reverend Jones, you have a unique background here. You were a public defender for 13 years. Now you're at a Madison church. Can you give us your perspective on the issues, sir?
The Constitution guarantees the presumption of innocence. Legal counsel guarantees the protection of the innocent. One of the things that we miss is that poverty has no face. Poverty is black, it's white, it's Latino, it's Hmong. The greatness of our country is determined by how we take care of the least of our citizens, the poorest of our citizens. That determines how great we are. Not how much wealth we can accumulate, not how many wars we can win, not how many borders we can stretch, but how we take care of one another. And the Constitution is the second greatest document ever written. It applies in ways that we never would have thought. But it was by the people, for the people. But decisions that legislatures make don't protect the people. And so what you get a number of people who now refuse to come to court. They don't have protection. They don't have representation. They may avoid the system, which causes delays, extra money, and those are issues. But in the end, the reality is we still want justice. And justice requires, that both sides are fairly advocated. Without representation, it's an unfair advantage to the prosecution.
How do you see this, members of your church or friends of members of your church, when they're up against the denial by these current rules, sir?
We're put in two very unique positions. One, they have a pastor who's an attorney. So we're put in a position that I have to determine whether or not I can represent them or not, which is never usually a good idea.
Do you sometimes represent them?
Once in a blue moon,
okay.
Once in a while. And that's very difficult because it's not what I'm called to do. I have too many other responsibilities. The other side is we have to then see if we can generate some funds to assist, or we have to determine if we can call in some favors with other attorneys that we're aware of, or simply just provide information, allow people to go in on their own. And that's a tough position. It's a tough position to not have to or not be able to step up for everyone.
Are these people who don't qualify on the margins of our society from a poverty standpoint, sir?
The walking poor.
Okay.
It's what we would call the walking poor. There are people who are walking into jobs. They're working every day, and they don't make a lot of money. They don't make enough money to take care of their families. Clearly would not make enough money, to represent, to retain an attorney. We put people in a bad position.